And the answer is, yeah, I was out of it in that one big domain, emotions. And what I've learned since then, and continually learn, especially in the last 20 years, is that emotions can be the most enabling thing of human happiness if they are managed and if you understand the power and you take ownership of what's going on inside of you. Speed of digital advancement is going to be very, very fast. The best scientists say that the shelf life of knowledge will only be 2 to 3 years because technology will be creating new knowledge so fast. And we human beings are not wired, all right? We were wired in ways for efficiency in assuming that things stayed the same. And so the ability to go in and to be highly adaptive and to learn at the speed of change requires, okay, it requires mastery of self, okay, it requires taking ownership of self, you know, how you think, how you listen, how you collaborate, how you relate, all right? How you relate is engage with other human beings, and most of us weren't trained to do that. Schools don't teach that. But the good news is the great religions and the great philosophies of the world, and there's, you know, historically 7 great religions and philosophies. There's a multitude of them, Eastern and Western. The amazing thing is when you study all of them, they all come to the same conclusions. All right, they get there a different way. They may use different words, but it's the same. And it's this basically taking ownership of self, all right, and getting to the point where you achieve inner peace. Quiet ego, quiet mind, quiet body, positive emotions. You can generate positive emotions and you can manage negative emotions. And you embrace impermanence is the way. And so, and what that means for most of us as human beings is we have to basically release or we need a new story of what it means to be smart in the world.
Well, a couple of things we've spoken about: integrity, honesty, authenticity, caring about your employees. And those are part of your philosophy. If you don't believe in those things, you're not going to be a long-term successful CEO. You might be able to run your company for a little while, but you will eventually run into the ground, or you'll be a miserable person just focused on profits. So a lot of it is character. But I think the other thing, and this is a big challenge, I just did a video and wrote some stuff on this, is the ability to dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. I use this statistic pretty much every time I teach a class, which is how many books do you think the average college graduate reads per year for self-improvement or business improvement, to get what I call a skill-based book, to get better at communications or leadership or advertising or marketing or whatever it might be, per year after they graduate from college? The answer is 0.5. The average person reads a half a book a year, or the equivalent thereof. Blogs, you know, podcasts, YouTube, whatever it might be. But they invest time, and an average book is 200 pages. So it takes maybe a couple of hours to read 100 pages. So they invest a couple of hours a year. Let's just call it 5 hours an entire year to watch things or listen to things or read things that will help them improve. If you were to read the equivalent of, or, you know, whatever, all those other things, of one book every other month, 6 books a year, you'd be in the top 1% in whatever country you live in the world. Wow. If you were to read one a month, 12 a year, you're in the top 1% on the face of the earth. I'm not a genius, but I've read about 2,500 books since I graduated, business books, since I graduated from college. That doesn't mean I'm a genius, but it does mean I have access to more information. It's one of the things when I was a young CEO that helped me is I didn't have to have all the experience. I could read the books and listen to the audio tapes and stuff from famous CEOs and learn from them, even the ones that have been dead for 100 years, philosophers and everything. So you got to imagine that someone's really bright, all the way back to Seneca, or we can go Confucius, or we can go through 100 other things up to Alan Mulally or somebody today. They took the time to sit down and write in a book or do a video of all the best things they've learned, and you can get that for free. The biggest thing I see is leaders don't invest in their own professional development. If you dedicated just 15 or 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you would be in the top 1% in the world for lifelong learning if you consistently did that week after week after week for the year. It's crazy. That's how low the bar is.
But John,
so that's been the big learning experience.
How have you been growing your ability to think, Justin?
Well, I would say this is an awesome question. I think that as I've gotten better at thinking, I've realized that I'm not good at thinking, maybe is the way I would say it. So I live in an echo chamber professionally, where I'm consistently put in a room where I'm expected to or supposed to be an expert, right? It's like the guy that knows the most in the room about whatever we're talking about. And the more people that EMA has hired, the more I've learned that I don't know everything. And I know that, but I'm reminded, maybe is the right term, that I don't know everything. But from a personal standpoint, you have to look at what matters most to you. And that level of thinking, that to me, that has been something I've enjoyed reading a bit about, like being more present, being more aware of my weaknesses, being more of, what do people see when they look at you? And that level of thought is something that's really hard to do when you're trying to accomplish things, right? I'm goal oriented. I'm get the hammer out and the pickaxe and dig the hole, and I don't care what anybody thinks, get out of my way. And that works. I mean, look at being a bulldozer is super effective when you need to move stuff. And I don't regret having that trait, I think, in my personality, but holy cow, when you take a step back holistically and look at who you are as a whole person, I've run over a lot of people I didn't need to run over. And I think it's done, I wouldn't say damage, but it's stuff that maybe I could have done better. And so to me, thinking is let's look at the landscape of, you want to go here. And to get there, you don't just go here to here. I mean, there's, all these pathways between here and there, and you need to look at the path rather than the destination and the starting point. And I try to be honest about it. I'm really bad at that stuff, but I'm aware of it, and I want to get better at it. But man, I get so fascinated by stuff that I'm not good at, because it's I figure all this other stuff out. I can figure this out, and if I get good at thinking, I think that I'll be a really unstoppable person personally, as much as I think I can be professionally. And professionally, again, it's just solving problems and answers and stuff that I think I do on a day-to-day basis. Personally, holy cow, that's a whole can of worms with how to be a good dad and be a good husband and support people and be there and not, still travel. And if I ever figure that out, man, I'll be a Superman. I'm hoping someday I'll figure that out.